Still didn't do it. Still didn't tell me it started recording. Okay, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because my headphones are plugged in, but that wouldn't make sense because those aren't the type of headphones you plug into something. Those are Bluetooth headphones and they're charging. But never mind. I'm rambling. So, we're going to go off of what was said in the last video. I know it's going to be a day before you see this, but in the last video I said I didn't know how to pronounce her name. I'm pretty sure it's... I already forgot it. Fuyumi? Fuyumi? Yeah, Fuyumi. I think it's Fuyumi. I don't know if I'll have to say it in this video, but I actually went and figured out how to say it. I don't know how helpful Google is, and my memory is terrible, so... Yeah. There's something else I was going to say. God, what was it? Right, so remember the text I was telling you about in the last video? If you don't, well, then figure out how to skip this. Or, if you don't care, figure out how to skip this, because I don't know the times. I don't know how long it's skipping. Never mind. The text, someone random that I have no idea who the fuck they are, has a number that is unknown, said, sorry, can't talk right now. It's never a number I've texted, never a number called. I don't know who the fuck the person is. I don't know who it is. And they said, sorry, can't talk right now. So, I'm super confused. Maybe my phone called them without me knowing. I should actually check that. Maybe my phone accidentally called and they're texting back like, hey, yo, sorry. Like, can't talk right now. Even though I have no fucking clue who they are. I'm gonna check that right now, though. Recent. No. Not someone I have ever called. Especially not a recent. Okay, never mind. Today we are reading his reasons. It's a Todoroki X-Reader fanfic by AshleyH713. This is part 20. We are reading season 3, chapter 2. This will be posted March 31st, because I'm pretty sure there is a March 31st, if I checked right. I'm tired and I'm ready to go to bed. That last video took longer than I thought it would. And, this one's already starting to take longer, so I should begin. Before, shit takes longer than... Yeah, never mind. Season 3, chapter 2. Katsuki raised a fist up. What? Hold on. Okay, so she's not including the final exams, so we ain't gonna, yeah. Katsuki raised a fist up, throwing an explosion in his sister's direction, and causing her to dodge the action, all at once. He couldn't exactly remember how he got there, but still focused on winning. He always did. Come on, brat, try harder! She grunted at his response before swirling around in a circle, using her gold matter to shield herself from his attacks. The girl didn't respond, but Bakugo could tell she was struggling. He watched her chest heave out of breath, clutching the area as if it was in pain, but for some reason he was too blinded by winning to be able to stop. It was like he couldn't stop. Amari faltered and Bakugo showed no mercy, punching her in the stomach and throwing her a very close explosion in his path. She hissed at the pain and was thrown across the room, now landing in a hard thud against the ground. Seeing her coughing up blood, Katsuki tried to stop himself, but somehow he felt himself move towards her instead. Oh no. Something about this wasn't right. It was like he couldn't control his own body, like he was driven to destroy her. His mind screamed inside himself, silently begging his muscles not to hurt her, as his hand reached for his explosions. Stop it, damn it! Don't hurt her. She's hurt. That's enough. Why won't you listen to me? Suddenly a loud ringing rang through his ears. Bakugo watched his own sister's eyes lose color completely, her body falling to the floor like a rag doll in a crumbled, lifeless fashion. Racing towards her, Bakugo touched her, only for blood to start pooling across his arms, as Katsuki let out a shaky breath of terror. That was her blood. What was even happening? Amari? What's happening? Hold on, brat! She raised a shaky hand to his face, terror now etched in her own eyes as she squeaked out painfully. Katsuki, it hurts. Touching her hand lightly, Katsuki's head spun, grasping onto his sister. His breathing ragged as she drifted away from him. Hey, it's okay. Don't you dare fucking close your eyes. Suddenly a voice echoed through his ear, laughing at his misfortune. Such a selfish little boy. See what you let happen? Bakugo looked up, only to find the same blue-haired villain from the USJ incident stepping out of the dark shadows, mocking him and smiling at his terrified face. He was standing behind his sister as 1,000 pieces connected in his mind. Somehow, he hurt Amari. A low growl escaped the boy's throat, knowing this bastard had hurt her, and Bakugo raced forward, only for the villain to disappear, almost like in a cloud of smoke. You bastard, I'm going to fucking kill you! He appeared a couple feet away, and Bakugo chased after him, determined and fire in his stomach. He was certainly not going to let that bastard get away with hurting his sister. Not in his watch. Finally, he was able to get a hold on the villain, wrapping his strong hands around the man's throat, anger deeply etched in his stomach as the man began to choke. You killed her. Although the man couldn't help but smile at this, a voice smooth and sharp. No, you are mistaken. I didn't kill her. You did. Suddenly, the man's voice began to change into something higher and more feminine, all at once, as a weak hand touching his arm pleaded him to stop. It was slender, definitely not one of a male. Bakugo blinked his eyes once, only for his body to grow completely still. Then he realized the terrible truth. It wasn't Shigaraki underneath his hands anymore, but Amari. She choked out a breath, fear clear in her expression as she brokenly whispered out, Why, Katsuki? Was it because I wasn't strong enough? Katsuki gasped, letting go of his hold and watching her crumble to the ground all at once. No, this couldn't be happening. He was going after Shigaraki. This couldn't be happening. No. His hand began to shake as reality set in. Bakugo gently touched his sister's body as a breath of terror rang through the empty black space. Amari, oh god, oh fuck, oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, this is all my fault. Opening his eyes, Bakugo raised out of bed, breathing heavily as the sweat poured around him all at once. His shaky hand lifted to his face as the boy focused to the room around him. It had been a long time since he had a nightmare that vivid. Staring at his hands, the boy closed his eyes in anxiety as a sound knock was heard from the other side of his door. He didn't answer, and a couple moments later, it slowly opened to reveal Amari, backpack in hand with a toothbrush in the other. Oh, thank God he hadn't killed her. She was okay. Hey, Katsuki, Mom said we have to get moving, or we are going to miss the bus. It's training camp today, remember? She smiled in excitement, then taking out a couple notebooks out of her backpack and opening them up to a specific page. I've already planned so much. We're going to cook marshmallows, sing songs, and tell scary ghost stories. It's going to be great. Her ideas sounded less than ideal, but Katsuki couldn't help but stare at her as she read them off, her blonde hair cascading across her shoulders like usual. He couldn't help but still be shaken by that terrible, terrible dream. He didn't want to know what it meant. Noticing his silence, Amari stopped speaking, now taking that as rejection and putting the notebook back slowly. But I know you aren't really into those things, so we can talk about it. I don't want to make you uncomfortable or anything. Bakugo then realized he hadn't heard any of her rambling and just shook his head, causing her to awkwardly move back to the door. He obviously wasn't in the mood for talking today. Right, so Mom said that if you don't get up, then she would make you, so I wouldn't really wait too long. You know how scary she can be. I'll let you change then. Moving back towards the door, Bakugo's mind flashed back to her cold, lifeless body and suddenly dreaded the idea of her leaving, even if it was just downstairs. He didn't want to leave her sight ever again. Then, without thinking, Katsuki's hand wrapped around his sister's arm, pulling her back slightly and stopping her movements all at once. His voice sounded foreign, afraid. He didn't like it. Wait. Amari stopped, confused by the action, only to notice a slight shake to her brother's hand against her arm. Staring back at him, she noticed something different as well. His eyes looked wide. Katsuki, what's wrong? Did something happen? It was almost like her words snapped him out of his trance. Now realizing what exactly he was doing, he felt weak and pathetic, especially in front of his sister. Letting go and slapping her hand away, Bakugo scoffed, wishing the conversation to be over. It's nothing, Brat. Just tell the old hag that I'd like to see her try to make me do anything. Amari stared at him for a moment, still not believing his words, when she was met with a pillow to the face, blocking her vision. What the hell are you staring at, loser? Get out. I have to change. Tossing the pillow to the side, his sister frowned before listening and moving back towards the door. There was something up with him. She hoped it wasn't bad, but she always knew not to push too hard. Last thing she wanted was for him to dislike her again. I'll be downstairs. Bakugo watched her leave as another flash of memory passed by him, recalling the terrible thing he made up in his mind. Groaning to himself, Katsuki then placed his head in his hands before thinking one single solitary thing. He had a bad feeling about this training camp. Reaching the school entryway, Amari couldn't help but be worried about her brother from the display he showed earlier. He wasn't one to wear his heart on his sleeve, so for him to be so shaken, it must have been something serious. On their way towards the bus, she tried to bring it up multiple times, but Bakugo would always just shut her down and change the subject. The last thing she wanted was to see him in pain. Okay, good. She snapped out of her thoughts when Deku passed by them, stopping for a moment to wave at his friends. Good morning, Amari. Kachan, are you excited about the training camp? I can hear an echo up here. I don't know if the mic is picking it up, though. Okay, where was I? The last thing she wanted was to see him in pain. She snapped out of her thoughts when Deku passed by them, stopping for a moment to wave at his friends. Good morning, Amari-chan. Kachan, are you excited about training camp? Katsuki looked less than thrilled, but Amari was able to give him a soft smile. Good morning, Midoriya. Of course, I'm excited. Let's go show the class we mean business together. Okay? Deku nodded his head, and Katsuki started to feel annoyed by their close proximity, pulling her away from the green-haired boy. Stop talking to that loser. Once they were out of sight, Bakugo shook his head, not understanding her attitude towards the boy. He shouldn't have to be so nice to that reject. You need to stop wasting your time on Deku. Noticing the malice in his voice, Amari frowned. Why do you hate him so much anyways? You never had the chance to tell me. He doesn't seem all that bad to me. Bakugo turned back to his childhood friend before sneering. Just picking one reason was difficult. He's just a quirkless idiot that happened to get lucky somehow. I've been working on my quirk for years to be the best, and he just shows up one day with all this power? Give me a fucking break. This made Amari blink in surprise, not understanding what he was saying. She knew about Deku vaguely, but him being quirkless was a new idea to her. Wait, Midoriya was quirkless when you were kids? Then how did he get so strong? Scoffing back, her brother recalled what he said to him on the first week of school. But it was so obviously a lie that he didn't give it much thought. I have no damn idea, but it doesn't matter. Quirk or no quirk, he'll always be a nobody. His words made Amari's eyes fall, remembering her past painfully clear. Katsuki seemed to be the same as back then. Her being quirkless was a nuisance for him. Good thing she fixed that. Hey, Katsuki? Turning his head towards her, the girl only sighed, now playing with the ends of her hair. She couldn't help but recall the doctor's option in her head, and the consequences for not using the pills. What would you do if I was quirkless? Bakugo's eyes widened at this, flashing back to her childhood and remembering her weak state. Amari back then wasn't quirkless, but it was almost the same thing as using her quirk would have killed her. But things were different now, right? What the hell does that mean? Thinking for a moment, Amari replied, now making an unreadable expression. Of course, he would think of her as weak if that happened. Sorry, it's just a joke. He didn't know why, but Katsuki felt his chest breathe out a sigh of relief then, slapping her on the side of her shoulder and warning, quit screwing around. We both know that's impossible. As much of a pain in my ass. As much as you are a pain in my ass, with your quirk, I guess you aren't completely useless. That proved it. Proved it to Amari. Katsuki hated Deku so much because he didn't have a quirk for so long. She supposed that made sense, though. Given her experience as well, it was good that he found his quirk, though, as she did. Ow. Smiling to herself, the girl replied, Yeah. Suddenly, Mr. Aizawa's voice echoed across the space, causing everyone to turn their heads. All right, everyone, it's time to start loading up the bus. The seating will be assigned, so when I call your name, make your way to the front. The class collectively groaned at the idea of the assigned seating, and even Amari couldn't help but still glance at Todoroki for a moment. It would be great if she could have sat with him. The teacher read off a couple names before Amari heard hers clear and slow. Bakugo, Amari, and Midoriya Izuku. Get to the front. She heard Bakugo groan behind her, already pushing his sister forward with a heavy shove. Good luck, brat. By the end of this trip, you won't be able to stand him either. Regaining her balance from the shove, Amari paused for a moment before ignoring her brother's words. After hearing his explanation, she still couldn't hate Deku like her brother did. They had the same circumstances, after all. Once they started moving, Deku seemed to squirm in an uncomfortable fashion next to the girl, who just seemed confused. Maybe he wasn't happy to sit next to her after all. Although her worries were quelled when he spoke out a couple moments later. I'm really sorry about this, Amari-chan. Raising her eyes in question, she replied, For what? A small silence appeared then as he pointed behind him. I know you'd much rather sit with Todoroki or Kacchan. Sorry you got stuck with me. Amari took in his words before letting her lips curve into a small smile. He was so considerate all the time. She couldn't hate him after all. Midoriya, I'm really happy I got to sit with you. We don't really talk much. The boy's face couldn't help but flush from embarrassment, still not used to speaking with females. Yeah, I guess you're right. I still can't believe we haven't met before. I didn't even know Kacchan had a sister until you showed up during the sludge villain incident. At his words, Deku watched her face fall, now thinking he may have said something wrong. But, it's not like I'm not glad to meet you. In fact, I'm glad you came to UA, Amari-chan. His rambling made the girl crack a smile, changing the subject quickly. Oh yeah, I heard you and Katsuki were like closest friends. I'm sure he was a lot to handle. God damn it, where'd it go? Okay. Of course. Had to fucking... Okay. Recalling all the bullying, Deku shivered. Yeah, Kacchan was basically the same back then as he is now. He always liked to pick on me. Who is this? I need to know who's texting me. I want Okay, let's hope they text back. He paused when Amari leaned forward then, getting a better look at the shy boy. I'm sorry, I can only imagine. I think I know more than anyone how Katsuki can be. If I was there, I would have stood up for you. Deku smiled back, noticing the distant look in the girl's eyes. It was like she wasn't telling him something. Something that really bothered her. A small silence echoed through them before Amari spoke again, this time small and low. She played with the corner of his book as she continued. I also heard from Katsuki you were quirkless until last year. Is that true? She watched his face go sullen then, silently panicking in his mind for some kind of explanation to tell her that was believable. What if Bakugo told her about All Might as well, also remembering how he told his childhood friend his secret? This could be a disaster. Oh, yeah, I guess so. What else did Kacchan say? He waited for her response. For a moment, she replied, Not much, but I just wanted to ask, how did you do it? You lived so long with nothing. How did you not lose hope? Mari's words were not what he was expecting in the slightest. She just seemed genuinely curious, so much so that Deku felt like he had to answer. I don't know, I guess I just really wanted to be a hero. Even if it was possible back then, I didn't want to give it up. She could understand his motivation well, knowing very well that she was the same. She worked so hard for her quirk, almost like Deku did. You're amazing. Hold on. Alright, Stacy, you definitely have the wrong number. Yeah, you do. I gotta tell her she's got the wrong number. I don't want to mess with her. She looked like she was talking about something very important. No, she just looked busy, but I don't want to waste her time, so we'll just leave Stacy alone. Okay. Where was I? Deku felt his face flush for a second. We're just gonna ignore that. Deku felt his face flush for a second time, waving his hand in front of him absent-mindedly. What? Oh, no. I'm nothing special. I'm just stubborn, I guess. but Amari couldn't help but laugh. Don't sell yourself short, living without a quirk for so long. I wish I had your fearlessness. But then her stance grew dark again, her eyes flickering towards the ground. She can't help but remember Katsuki telling her why he hated Deku. It was because he was weak back then, quirkless. Without really thinking about her next words, Amari replied low and serious. I know I couldn't do what you did. I'd rather die than live without a quirk. It's everything to me. Deku narrowed his eyes in confusion, noticing her cast eyes and gently touching her shoulder. Amari-chan? Sighing to herself, Amari then turned back, determination in her eyes. Midoriya, I know Katsuki can be stubborn and say thoughtless things sometimes, but could you please take care of him for me when I'm not around? Her declaration seemed ominous in some way, Deku not fully understanding. Not around? Where are you going? But the girl only smiled sadly, touching the boy's arm lightly. Please, I know it's selfish, but promise me you will. Feeling the heat against her hand, he took in the utter desperation in her eyes and knew he had to agree, nodding his head once. This seemed important to her. Of course, Amari-chan, but I don't understand. The agreement made her heart skip a beat, smiling back and removing her arm. It's okay. You don't have to understand now. Just thank you. Leaning back on her chair, Amari then opened her book and began reading, all while Deku's eyes eyed her with a mix of concern and worry. He didn't know what he'd just agreed to, but it seemed to be big. Everyone reached the camp soon enough, as the students poured out of the bus before noticing something off about the whole thing. It was like they were in the middle of nowhere, no camp in sight. Looking around in confusion, they were suddenly met with two females in cat outfits. After they introduced themselves as the Wild Wild Pussycats, it's a funny name, the one in the blue outfit spoke once again. Alright, in order to get to the camp, you are going to have to fight your way in. I'd also be quick about it since the sun is about to set soon. Everyone looked between each other in confusion, although Bakugo, Todoroki, and Amari weren't far behind, already readying their quirks for combat, this time to get serious. This was going to be a long week. Okay, I'm gonna end here. Don't know who Stacy is, but we now know that she had the wrong number. Wait, I wonder if the person called her and she texted back and maybe they were like a digit off. That's normally what it is. They're normally like a digit off of my number. Never mind, I don't know. Check her out. She is a good writer. I like her stuff. Let's see how many season 3 stuff we got to read. We have 19 chapters of season 3. Ooh, and a special chapter. Then chapter 1, season 4, and then a special chapter. I might go read that before going to sleep because I want to know what happens in the special chapter. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it. Never mind. Check her out. Good writer. This one was quicker, obviously. Why do I feel like I'm missing something? I feel like I'm forgetting to say something, but I don't know what it is. So, if I remember, I'll make another recording and post it the same day as this one, saying what I remembered, what I forgot, but remember what doesn't. Never mind. You will hear me in the next video. Bye-bye.